Hello property people. So we're having a Q&A today, mainly in response to the fact that I get asked so many questions. I thought if we get excuse me, a Q&A from those that watch the videos, we can cover some ground. Hopefully this will answer some questions, and one of the questions I've been asked to do is quite funny, so I'll give it my best shot. I'll just crack on and we'll get on with the questions. So lack of 548, the Black Isle is one of the most beautiful places on this planet. Correct. It's really strange. I live in the Black Isle. There's a string of villages, North Keswick's in the Black Isle, Minlochy, Och, Fortrose, Rosemarkie, Cromarty, Balblair's an area, a little hamlet there, Kilbokey, as we're coming back the other side. Yes, it is a beautiful place. I mean, before the Keswick Bridge was built in 1972, the only way to reach it was either by the Keswick Ferry or through sort of Beaulieu Muir of Ord, the old road north as we call it. But yeah, the Black Isle's a beautiful place. When I started in this line of business in 1989, would have been mid-20s, I thought, and didn't really know the Highlands because I was from Murrayshire. I moved through here and I started exploring, if you like, and I fell in love with a village called Och. It's A-V-O-C-H, it's a silent V, Och. And I said to myself, one day I will live there. Lived in Inverness for 28 years, and one day came and I managed to buy a property in Och. One of these lucky coincidences you never get is that it wasn't even on the market. I did go and look at a plot for sale in Och with the idea of building a house. And as it happened, the plot was for sale. I offered him peanuts for it. Of course, he said no. But the owner said, if you buy that cottage next to the plot, you can have the plot. And that's what I'm sitting filming for today. I've been lucky enough to buy a Fisher cottage. Dates back at least to the 1830s, 1840s. We haven't gone right back yet. And the plot is now sitting a property that is a heritage built. So it's going to look like the surrounding Fisher cottages, new build property that we rent out as a holiday cottage. So yeah, the Black Isle's just an amazing place. Great communities, so easy to get to Inverness onto the A9 going south. The airport's about 40 minutes drive from here, anywhere north, anywhere west. But no, it's just a fantastic community, great place to live and work. Close to the sea, close to the hills. Yeah, great place. So thank you for the comment, and you're correct. So Madge Colley 8158, I enjoy watching just for the if only I could afford it value. Yeah, I get that. I mean, the prices in the Highlands have shot up in the last, well, since the early 90s. I remember that it became such a desirable place to live. Then in 2000, Inverness became a city, and that attracted a wider population, if you like. The latest surge has come since really lockdown 2020 onwards, whereby so many people now have discovered, and so many companies allow the staff to work from home. I'm one of them. I work from home. I don't have an office as such. I wouldn't change it. I absolutely love it. So yeah, so that's brought the prices up. But if you look at the UK as a whole, I mean, I know in parts of London you're looking at 700 odd thousand as an average price. We're sitting at, I think, 204,000 average at the moment. So from a UK point of view, it's quite affordable, but that depends upon what country you're actually watching us from. But yes, you know, what changes prices? Supply and demand. Well, demand's fairly constant. Sorry, supply is fairly constant. It's the demand that changes. To put that in numbers, in 2010, after the crash, the markets all crashed, our average time to sell a house was 53 weeks, and the average price on reflection to asking price was 15% below. July 2022, middle of COVID, people were desperate to escape where they were to come and live in the Highlands. Our average time to sell was 11 days, and the average price over asking, I think, was just over 12%. What changed? Demand. So yeah, the value is what it is. I suppose you have to look at average income that supports properties. I think we're well out of line in the Highlands with the average income to the average property price. But then we were in Geneva, Switzerland, and their properties are huge in price, but their average salaries are 75,000, I think it was at the time. So I suppose it's all relative. But thank you for your question, Madge Colley. Beverly-YF5EC. You're in property sales for a fair few years, 37, I think, and have sold a significant number of homes, but 4,000, rough estimate. Did you always know you wanted to go into this field of work, or is it something you were drawn to later on? We do enjoy these videos, by the way. Thank you, Beverly. That's very kind of you. The videos are simply just to help market properties. and I had a wee brainwave about a year ago. I was thinking, well, we've got the content, let's put them on Facebook. The Facebook videos now go on to Rightmove and Zoopla and Yoppa websites, so everybody that's looking at property can see them. But to answer your question, yeah, I went to college, did business studies, still hadn't a clue what I wanted to do, but I had a part-time job at a supermarket and I absolutely loved it. So I started as a grocery manager in the supermarkets. Soon discovered that there's more to life than filling shelves. Went into an insurance company to learn how to sell. That was a hard struggle. But I learned the hard way, did a lot of self-development, reading books, listening to other people, copying the successful people is my phrase that I use a lot. My mum and dad had a property business, but development and renting out, not necessarily selling. So I kind of had in the back of my head there was a money in property. And I was so lucky I managed to get a job as a mortgage broker within an estate agent in the Highlands. And the rest is really history. I decided I loved it, or I discovered I loved it. I still get a kick after all these years. I still got a massive kick from getting a good result for a client. I really enjoy it. So yeah, I was just one of these lucky people that kind of had a vague idea of what I wanted to do. I knew what I didn't want to do. I suppose that's a good starting point. And I just stumbled upon it and realised that if I put my mind to this and learned a lot and listened to other people, I could make this quite successful. Now at the other end of my career, if you like, I'm on the training board for Yoppa. I do training for Yoppa. I do mentoring for young people. I've been interviewed a few times about certain things. So if you'd said to me as a young 20-year-old guy, you'll be on British television giving an interview, for example, or being guest speakers on podcasts, I'd have said you're off your head. But I suppose, through time, nobody ever starts as an expert, and I'm not thinking I'm an expert, I've just got a lot of experience. Through time and through experience, then yeah, I've got to where I've got. So that's kind of my snapshot journey, a lot of peaks and troughs and rough patches in between there, but that's where I'm at just now. I'm now at the age I'm at of 60. My wife Fiona asked me a few months ago, what are you going to do when you retire? And I haven't got that answer. I think until in such time as I don't like what I'm doing anymore, I'm just going to carry on, because although mentally it's quite challenging sometimes because you're juggling buyers and sellers and offers and what have you, not wearing myself out physically. So yeah, I think I'll just keep going as long as I can because I enjoy it so much. As somebody said, if you have to, if it's something you enjoy, it's not really a job. Well, I think that's where I'm at now. I really enjoy it, so and also get paid for it. So there we go. So thanks for the question. That's a really good question, Beverly. NML6395. This is a good one. Would you do your welcome hello property people in the style of Mrs. Doubtfire? Just once, we'd all love to hear it. Hello property people, dear. That's it. That's the first and last time. Just as an aside, the hello property people, when I decided video was something I wanted to do, mainly because how do you sell a property in lockdown when you can't actually physically allow people to go and view the property? And the first one I did was up in Tain. It was a traditional building, retired couple in the property, and I asked them to please remove themselves because I couldn't speak in front of the people, and they promptly grabbed each other's hand and locked themselves in the toilet. So I stood outside thinking, what on earth am I going to say here? I hadn't a clue, but I committed to doing this video. And I thought, hello property people. That phrase stumbled out and has now become our catchphrase, for lack of a better word. It's kind of a bit like Coca-Cola or Tesco's over here. Yeah, every little helps. The catchphrase has gone on and on and on, and now walking around a supermarket, I'll go, hello property people. So yeah, so that's Mrs. Doubtfire done. And that's the reason that we've got that particular catchphrase. So thank you, NML635. I don't do any impersonations, as you just discovered. Please don't ask me to do any more. Lara Hamba 4233. I know you only cover certain areas, but in your profession, which parts of the Highlands and Islands would you say is the most expensive to buy property? Would I be right thinking Skye and the Cairngorms? Yes, to a degree. I'm sure that's the case. Back to what I said earlier, demand finishes. Demand gives the price of a property. So yes, certainly the Cairngorms, Granton, Aviemore down that way. Kingussie, very popular area. Inverness, red hot. Inverness, again, what I said earlier, became a city. great desirable place to live. But it is true, the further north you go from Inverness, the prices drop, again through lack of demand. There's still people that commute back and forth to Inverness for work, so the further you are away from Inverness, the less chance of an Inverness worker buying the property. Gairloch on the west coast, again, is very huge demand for there. Wicken Thurso, Darness up that way, not as much demand. Beautiful part of the world, so up to John O'Groats along that way. But yeah, I think you're right in saying Skye and the Cairngorms, Isle of Skye. You hear some horror stories. I don't cover there. I used to years and years ago, but it's a whole day there and back and lots of miles. And I think to be an effective estate agent, you have to be in your community, not just dipping in and out of it. So that's why I've stopped covering that far. Wicken Thurso on the quest will go up there. Yeah, but again, I don't. I'm not in that area, in that community. It's 120 odd miles from here, so it's not just nipping in and out of it. So, but yeah, thanks, Laramba. That was a good question. NML6395. Do you watch other property videos on YouTube for fun? Simon from Unique Properties in London comes to mind. Or is it too much like work? Very good question. When I started out looking at videos for YouTube, I hadn't a clue what to do. Or how to work YouTube, or how you present a video or anything. So yes is the answer. I did start looking at other people's properties. So when I'm doing my training or my mentoring for new people, I ask the question, have you looked at the successful people? And what I mean by that is you could spend hours and hours trying to figure it out for yourself, or the easy way is ask somebody else that's done it before. So yes to your answer, I looked at a lot of different ways to do property videos. Our property videos are very raw, and they're raw for a reason, because there's no fancy music or swirly adverts and all the rest of it. They're simple buyer's perspective walkthroughs of property. And the feedback we've had over the 5 or 6 years we've been doing the videos is that that's what the buyers like. And at the end of the day, although sellers are our customers, we need to attract buyers to satisfy the sellers. But it's funny, we've all got dreams. As much as I live in one of the most beautiful places in the UK, if not the world, I did have a hankering for buying overseas, so I watched an awful lot of French property videos, which has helped me understand what property videos are about. I don't tend to look at any competition of ours up here, simply because very few of them do videos. If you were to look at my selection on videos, it's very varied, from holidays to satire to people that do travel blogs, cars, racing. Very few property videos I look at in my own area. Maybe I should start looking at them for ideas. London to me is a separate country. It's just, I can't relate to what I do up here, and the properties and the people we have up here, to what goes on in London, and particularly the prices down there. Because I cover a rural area, I've got Lauren that covers Inverness, I've got Scott that covers Murrayshire. My area is mainly rural with a few villages thrown about, so London properties, just I can't get my head around them at all. But no, thanks for your question. Yes, I do watch YouTube videos for fun, not many property ones. Orbiter 3, if you wish to live a reasonable walking distance from a connecting train stop, which part of Inverness would you recommend for a small flat? The railway station terminates more or less on the high street in Inverness. It's right in the middle of Inverness, so anywhere within sort of a mile or two of there, I would have thought. You can live in Culloden and Beloch, and Dalnay is fine. Skagouille would be fine. So yeah, just draw a mile round the middle of Inverness and you won't go far wrong. Danny Boy 9817, long question. Thanks, Orbiter, for your question, by the way. My wife and I are looking to relocate from rural Lincolnshire to Scotland to live all year round, not a second home or buy to let. But I'm a little worried about the reception we may or may not receive as incomers, white settlers, he's got in brackets, which is a term I don't use. We totally get and understand the issue of second holiday home buyers and buy-to-let investors putting pressure on the housing market for local people, as we have the very same problem where we are. There's some resentment towards, for the most part, wealthy Londoners snapping up housing for weekend getaways, or in his investment forcing young first-time buyers out of the area. I'd be interested in your honest view of this, even if it's not what I want to hear. Okay, so I'll not get too political. However, because somebody's moving into the area doesn't make them a bad person. I moved into the village of Och from Inverness. My wife was born in Torquay, and moved into the area. Resentment. So what causes resentment? There's plenty of Scottish people I can't be dealing with because they're not nice people. They don't involve themselves in what we do. And I'm sure that's the same of Welsh and Irish and English people. There's a lot of them that no matter where they live, they're not going to get on. My short answer is smile, and people smile back at you. If they don't smile back at you, walk on by, ignore them. The other question that is raised, and I get this, and I quite like when I get asked this by a local, all these incomers are coming in and buying up the property. Stop there, Mr. Local or Mrs. Local. Who sold to the incomers? Now that's a bit of the equation that they forget. Money talks. Highest price, generally speaking, buys a property. So to answer your question, Danny boy, I would say 99% of the people in Scotland will welcome you if you welcome them. If you smile at them, they'll smile back at you. If you go out of your way to help them, they'll go out of your way to help you. That's the best way I can describe it. If you look at the countrywide issues at the moment with immigrants and all the rest of it, the biggest jarring problem there is that the immigrants aren't helping the indigenous population, if you like. They're going against their values. So yeah, it would annoy me if somebody came up to me and said, "You're not doing this right." Well, I'm doing it for me. If you agree with people and let them live and let live, then you'll have a fantastic time in the Highlands. You'll really appreciate the scenic beauty, the peace and quiet, the community spirit. It's not uncommon for us just to leave the front door open and go away for a long weekend. There's a chap I was speaking to not long ago. He actually lives in Orkney, one of the islands off Orkney. I think it was Shapinsea from memory. And he was saying to me, he leaves his car keys in the ignition just in case any of the neighbours need to borrow his car. That's the kind of community you can buy into. But there's good and bad in all communities. There's good and bad in all peoples. There you go. Smile at people, and if they smile back, engage with them. If they don't, walk on by. But thanks for the question. That's a very short answer to a question that I hate being asked that question. Or sorry, that's not true. I hate people saying that incomers. Well, we're all incomers. At some point, we've all income from somewhere. And the question is, who did the incomer sell? Who did the local sell to and why? And there's the answer that I've got. PJK, brilliant Danny Boy for the question. PJK1714, could you share insights on value markets in your area you represent? Some say aged and not in better condition, while other communities appear to be thriving. From afar, it's difficult to gauge options or markets. Yeah, it's bad. Bad for you, it's bad for me being in the markets. There's no bad area in the Highlands that I understand you would consider a bad area in the south. There's pockets of areas that perhaps you wouldn't want to buy in, but you can count maybe 3 or 4 that I can think of in the Highlands that I perhaps wouldn't want to stay. So the value of markets, I mean, it's called tonal value. So there's a tonal value for all kind of areas or postcode areas, if you like. And that tonal value is affected by, more or less by the smallest house in there, not the biggest. For example, if you've got a house of a street of 3-bedroom semis, and one detached 5-bedroom house in a massive plot, that massive 5-bedroom house will be affected by the lower priced properties. Not tends to be the other way. You don't maybe have the most expensive house in the street, for example. But yeah, some communities do better than others. When I started in 1989, there was a place called Alness that it was a really struggle to sell because of previous issues with the area, with previous industry that was there, the people that attracted. Now, I'd go and live in Alness quite happily. That's 30 odd years later, the issues have diluted away. It's one Scotland and bloom dozens of time. You go down the high street, it's buzzing. Places change all the time. So yeah, looking at properties been on the market a while as well, of course. Some properties take a while to sell and there's no damn reason for it. We look at feedback. In fact, I looked at one this morning and the feedback's all positive, but it hasn't sold. Bad luck, perhaps. There will be an issue. There's always an issue when a property doesn't sell. Typically, the buyers will tell us if there's a property that doesn't sell, if there's an area that is too close to a road or that's near a smelter or whatever. So, yeah, properties that don't sell doesn't mean they're a bad property. It means there's a reason they haven't sold. Could be price, It could be photographs aren't good. It could be something at the property you can't change, like location, for example. The best way, and I advise people, I advised somebody just recently, if you're keen on moving into an area, spend a week, 2 weeks holiday in that area, rent a cottage, and really get in about the bones of the place and see how you feel about it. That's, you know, from afar. I mean, we're selling 2 or 3 properties a month now that people don't even view. I've just sold one to somebody that lives in Maine, just north of New York. Haven't viewed it, won't view it. You can get so much information online. But my top tip would be spend a bit of time in the community you want to live in and see how you feel about it. So PJK1714, thank you very much for the question. So that's a summary of the questions. Somebody asked, can I buy myself a microphone with a wind baffle? Yes, I've got one. I must remember to use it one day, but I've got one. So anyway, that's the Q&A. Thank you very much for all your questions. And as Mrs. Doubtfire might say, thank you for watching, dears.